Well, hello everybody. It's Sophie Musumeci here, Real Entrepreneur Mums co-founder. Very excited to have you on tonight, and very excited to introduce you to our special featured trainer, who some of you already know, who has trained with me before on The Real Insight, is Nicole Tewierik. Did I do it right?
You did it perfectly. Hello.
So Nicole is a business coach in Melbourne, but also one of our community leaders in Melbourne, in the Melbourne community. So we're so excited to have you on. I have been watching your online sessions. I was on Facebook Live with you today. We were chatting and just loving everything that you are doing. Business coaching is so important for entrepreneur mums, and if you don't know Nicole, make sure you're following her online, and she does some really great topics, and you want to be getting amongst what she's doing. But tonight is all about how do you raise your business? So how do you get through that toddler stage? So toddler stage, hobby business, different wording for it, but I can't wait to hear what Nicole's going to do, because she's going to share with us the 5 key steps that you need to do to get the income goals that you want. Now, just from a bit of a hands up in the chat box, I want you to tell me who likes the sound of that, because I'm going to put 2 hands up, right? And especially when you're starting out, Tony's like, yeah, me, pick me. Melissa, yep, pick me. Yes, everyone's pick me. It is really important, because in the beginning, those little bits of money make a huge difference. One, it allows us to reinvest back into our business. It allows us to reinvest in ourselves. In those early stages, your personal development is critical. You will only grow, your business will only grow as much as you know. So you have to be investing in those things. And then also, we need money just to, contribute to the family and to the household, and to buy shoes, right, Nicole?
Totally.
Well, Nicole, I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to stop share. You can take over tonight and jump into the chat box, ask your questions as we're going along. And what we're going to do is, at the end, I'm going to do Q&A back to Nicole and answer all of your questions. So, you guys are on live, which is incredible. You are going to get one-on-one business coaching at the end of this. So make sure you're writing down your questions and put them into the chat box. And Nicole's going to stay on and answer all of them. Aren't you, Nicole?
Absolutely.
I may need another cup of tea. All right. Let's get started. Over to you, Nicole.
All right. So am I a host?
Yeah. No? Let me host you. Ready? Over to you.
Right. All right. Now I will share my screen. And away we go. All right. Now, what I can't see right now is the chat box to be able to see questions.
That's
so
okay.
if
I'll
you
help
can
you.
do that bit for me, that would be amazing. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. As Sophie said, my name is Nick Tewierik, and I am a business coach. And what I want to talk about tonight is really getting through that bit of your business, which is a little bit like raising a toddler. And I'll tell you more about what I mean by that as we get into it. I work with professional mums, and I help them grow their businesses. And the thing that I'm really passionate about is helping them do that in a way that works for their lives, because I see so many people out there, and specifically women and mums, who get caught up in all of the shoulds that we need to be doing to build our businesses. And we end up in this maelstrom of guilt and self-recrimination and overwhelm and not really knowing how to do it. And so I'm all about stopping that and helping people build a simple business that actually does what they want it to do without taking forever to do. So tonight I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and my story and why I do what I do. And then we'll go into the toddler business and why that's a thing. And then I want to hopefully give you a bit of inspiration. So where are you going to find your staying power when things get really tough, and how you move through those different stages of your business? And I want to give you that simple process, that's something that you can just follow in a repeatable way when you set your income goals, so that you can start to know exactly how you're going to make your money. When you set a goal, you know how to go, okay, I'm going to go through, this is how I'm going to meet that goal. These are the things that I need to do. And it takes the stress and the unknown out of building and growing, because it becomes something that you know how to do really easily. So hopefully that sounds okay. I love talking to people when I'm live. It's kind of weird not being able to see your chats. So please pop your comments in, and Sophie, feel free to interrupt me if there's a really important point that I need to be addressing.
I'm really good at interrupting. Just ask Alison.
Right. Okay, so a bit about me. This is my beautiful family. I am a mum of 2 little girls, and I have a gorgeous hubby who stays home with our girls now. So we are from Victoria originally, but had been in Brisbane for a very long time, and took us a very long time to have children too. So I had a corporate career, have a corporate career. I'm a director in a consulting company, and have been for longer than I care to share with you, actually. But when we did have our girls, what I found, especially after how long it took us to fall pregnant, we had quite a journey that we went through. It was incredibly challenging. It was nothing like what I'd expected. I wasn't prepared for the anxiety. I wasn't prepared for the complete lack of control that you have over your life when you become a mum. And so it was really challenging for me, particularly with returning to work. I thought that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mum, and while I was on maternity leave with my first, I felt really resentful of the fact that I needed to go back to work for financial reasons. I felt like I wasn't doing the right thing by my daughter. I felt really conflicted. And then when I did go back to work, it was literally one of the happiest days that I'd had in about 6 months, because I was sitting there and I just had this overwhelming feeling of, oh my gosh, I actually know how to do stuff, as opposed to what it's like when you have your first baby and when you've literally got no idea what's going on ever. So that was really interesting for me, and I went through this whole process of figuring out, okay, well, I can't be the director that I used to be and be the mum that I want to be. I need to rethink all of this. I need to set some boundaries in place, and I needed to redefine what success looked like. And so I kind of worked through all of that and got to a really good place where I felt like I had balance. But I wanted more. I wanted to have greater control over what I was earning and the time that I was spending doing that. And so that was when, during that time when we just had one child, I started my first business with a business partner. And we had an online business where we wanted to train people, entrepreneurs, new business owners, we weren't any more specific than that, how to run their businesses, because we saw lots of people who were super passionate about the thing that they wanted to do, but they didn't know how to run their business. And we figured that we could change that stat around of 90% of businesses failing in the first year if we could help them. But we really didn't know what we were doing. And I'm very proud to say now that we made most of the mistakes that people make, because I get to help other people not make those mistakes. And so we kind of had that running along in the side. We had a fancy website and all of that kind of stuff, but not a lot of traffic. And then when my littlest one was born, the little munchkin that you see there, who is a real firecracker, my world fell apart. And I got postnatal depression and went through a really, really tough time with that. And so the journey back from number 2 was tougher, actually. And what I realized, though, through all of that time, and I'm better now, but what I realized was when I was having a bad day, my whole family had a bad day. And I realized that, as mums, we're really the center of the home and the house, whether we want to be or not. And if we want to be away and working, or if we, want to be a bit vulnerable, that has a really big impact on the rest of our family, our children, our partners, and how we're all experiencing life. And so that was kind of where my passion for working with mums came from, because I knew how to help them get to a place of control and confidence and boundaries and all of that kind of thing. And I knew how to do business. And I just wanted to bring that together because I'm so passionate about helping mums be that happy, confident self and have a business that empowers them and that enables them to live their lives. And so that's where it's come from for me. And honestly, once I found my target ideal client, I have not looked back. It never feels like work when I'm in my business. I absolutely love it. And so that's what I've been doing. I relaunched at the start of the year in my own company, which has been amazing. So a little bit around my experience. I've been helping small and large businesses for 20 years now through my consulting and coaching work. And so what I do is I help businesses get better results through their people. So that involves a lot of coaching. I work with peers, I work with my teams, and I work with the leadership teams and teams of my clients to help them be the best version of themselves, to really embrace their full skill set and to change their behaviors and do things the way that they need to. And what that does is then no company can achieve anything without changing the behaviors of their people. And so that skill set is what I bring into my coaching and working with my clients now. So the whole point that I have to make for the people that I work with and why I'm so passionate is we are all completely in control of the things that we get involved in. And I am all about conscious choice. And we don't always have to like the choice that we're making, but we have to still make it consciously. And that's one of the things that I think is really important for us as mums and as businesswomen and owners of our businesses and people who are creating our own destiny, is when we allow ourselves to feel like we aren't in control and like we are victims of a situation, it takes our power away. And that just completely undermines everything that we've got to offer. Whereas if we're making a conscious choice in every situation, it's about removing the shoulds, removing the expectations that aren't congruent with our value set and what we want to be doing. It's about saying, well, I could be doing the washing or the folding right now, but I'm not. I'm actually choosing to do this because it's more important that I spend time with my daughter, or it's more important that I do this work, or it's more important that I relax and have some me time. And that, it takes away the guilt that we put onto ourselves. And I'm also really a proponent of doing that from a balance perspective. So when people work with me, I work through with them and say, okay, well, let's look at all of the roles that you've got going on in life. Because usually, we are mum, we're bottle washer, we're working, we're trying to run a business. We've probably got a bunch of roles that we fulfill around the house. You're a mum, you're a sister, you're an auntie, you volunteer, you are, coaching the soccer team. And we have all of these roles that we take on and do everything without having any time or conscious effort around ourselves. And so what I do is say, okay, well, let's look at that and let's work out which ones are actually really important. And while we're at it, let's maybe give ourselves a break, because we're probably saying, well, I'm not being the mum that I want to be, when actually you're a great mum. And that was a massive turning point for me, learning how to give myself permission to be proud of the things that I was good at, rather than constantly berating myself for the things that I wasn't doing. And so that's why I've got the comment there around balance being a burden, because I think that sometimes when we strive to create balance in our lives and our businesses, we inadvertently create more pressure on ourselves, because then we're just giving ourselves a hard time, because we should be able to do this in a quicker period of time, or we should be able to make time for that extra marketing activity or whatever that case might be. Whereas if we don't take balance on as a burden and we start making conscious choices to go, nope, this is how I'm choosing to do things. I understand that might not be a perfect outcome over there, but I'm okay with that. That really makes a significant difference to how you feel about things with your business and with your life. And knowing your why is really, really important. Knowing the thing that is actually driving you and truly going to motivate you. And it's probably not just your kids, because if you make your kids your why, well, then you've got this immediate conflict between, well, if my kids are my why and that one reason of why I would do everything, well, then to build my business, to have more time with my kids, I have to take time away from my kids. And you create this really odd tension between things. Whereas if your why is more around, so for me personally, my why is around being able to control the way that I spend my time, and to be able to live life in a family-centered way. I have a really clear vision of where we're going to be living and what we're going to be doing. And, you know, Jeff and I are working from home, and I know what my kitchen looks like, and we've walked the girls to school in the morning, and then we come home and have a cup of coffee together, and then we do our work. And, you know, my why is about the lifestyle. And yes, that means I spend more time with my children as well, but it's a really important distinction to make. And so this is important because when you're in the toddler years, you know how you've got, and I would love to see a raising of your hands here. Does anybody feel like being a mum of a toddler is a little bit thankless sometimes? You know, before they get to that point where they can really reciprocate love, and you're the chief bottle washer, and you're the nappy cleaner, and you're the running after them and herding them and all of those things. And the reason I made this analogy, I was talking to my coach actually the other week, and I was telling her a story about how Eliana, who is my youngest, had been really clingy that weekend. I had had to work late a few nights, and so I'd missed some bedtimes, and that generally results in a weekend of having limpets hanging off me. And but there was this difference to the way that she was hugging me, you know, and she would come racing down the hallway towards me when I walked back in the door going, "Mummy, mummy, mummy, mummy," and she would dive into my arms, and then she would pat me and go, "My mummy," and, you know, she would, you know, gaze at me and those sorts, and there's just all these things that made me realize that she was starting to reach that point, and I had completely forgotten that they do this, where they're starting to feel love and they're starting to reciprocate love. And it just completely changes the way you feel about that whole relationship when you can see that emotion being reflected back at you. And so the whole analogy with your toddler business is, in the early years of your business, it don't give you a lot of love. You know, you are busting your butt. You're out there doing things that make you uncomfortable. It's hard getting the regular revenue coming in and hitting those goals. It's, you know, you're constantly testing things and trying to find your tribe and building your group or building your list, or, you know, joining different groups, and you try things and they don't work and you learn from the experience. And it's just this, you know, your business just doesn't give back to you that much in that early time until you get to a point where you do start to hit your goals consistently. And that's what I call the breakthrough point. You know, that point where you're like, oh, wow, I know that I can set myself a $3,000 goal on a monthly basis, and I can hit it. And I know that I'm regularly going to hit it. And you're going to do that without feeling like you're throwing yourself out with the bathwater because you're so wrung out and exhausted from doing it. But you've actually got a system in place. And that's what this training is about, is finding that breakthrough point. It's kind of euphoric when you hit your first goal that you've set for yourself. It is for me anyway. The first time I went, okay, I'm going to make this amount of money, and then I busted my butt and I actually made it, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And okay, let's see if we can do that again. And so that is what I mean when I say find your breakthrough point, and that tapping into that endless well of determination and drive. So when you know your why, and when you know the reason that you're doing it and your motivation, and you're able to find a way of doing business that feels simple. I was going to say easy. Business is not easy, but it doesn't have to be hard either. It it's proportionate to the way that you design things. And that's one of the things that I teach with my clients is, well, let's get a business set up and designed that works for you, so you don't feel like you're just constantly working hard and you're constantly hustling. That's a terrible word, actually, because we're told that we have to hustle to succeed, and actually you don't have to do that if you can get the right system in place. So that's what I mean by your toddler business, getting through that really thankless stage. So the 5 steps to breakthrough, it is about the money, because let's face it, you are in business to make money. Even if you're in a not-for-profit business, you are doing that to generate funds to be able to give back in some way or provide a community service. Irrespective of the purpose and the intent and the impact that we want to have, which is always altruistic. I haven't spoken to anybody yet, actually, especially as women in business, who doesn't have a higher purpose for the impact that they want to make. I haven't spoken to anybody who is all about the money. They want to drive change and transformation for their clients. But you need to be able to make money, and that needs to drive also the benefits that you want for your life. So it's okay for it to be about the money. And if you can be consistent with small steps that you take on a regular basis, you will build faith in your process, and you will build your confidence, and you will generate results. And I can't stress enough how much mindset is, it's the make or break of your business. But it's so hard to go, okay, right, I'm going to work on mindset, because there are so many different aspects to it that could be impacting you and causing resistance, or causing you to drag your feet, or not do something, or not really believe that you can get there. And so one way of moving through that and tackling that lack of faith and lack of confidence is to do those small steps consistently and see the result, and let that also build your confidence as you go. Does that make sense? Let me know if there are any questions. So my simple scalable process, I'm doing a challenge at the moment, and I've got a couple of people actually have joined for the training, and we're talking through 5 steps of how you can set yourself a revenue goal and then move through a simple process and hit that goal. And it's all about having something that you can scale. So our challenge is about a 1K goal. I know some of the ladies in the challenge have set themselves a bigger goal, but then being really consistent and deliberate about the things that are going to help you get there. So let's dive in then to some steps. Have you got a notepad ready? I am feeling so completely blind because I can't see all your comments. Every now and then I get a flashing light, but I don't know how to.
Yeah, everyone's great. They're like, God, I feel like that. Yes, absolutely. Makes sense. Yep. It's
really hard.
I have my notepad ready. Let's go. It's great.
All right.
Great.
So number 1 is your profit purpose. This is all about whenever you set yourself a goal, you have to actually set an intention for the profit. And the reason for this is we are exceptional at letting ourselves off the hook, frankly. We're all very, very good at explaining away why something isn't possible. And actually your brain is hardwired to keep you in a place of comfort. It all relates to the fight or flight systems. I'm not going to go into all the biology of it, but actually it's a biological response and a hormonal response to want to keep you safe. And our brain cannot distinguish between discomfort and danger. And so what that means is that this whole resistance that we feel and getting in our own way and procrastinating and not doing the thing that's really going to have impact in your business, that is all this thing at play. And if you don't set yourself a really solid intention for the money that you want to make, then you don't have a good enough reason for making it. Oh, wait. There we go. I'm all over it. Technology whiz here. You don't have a solid enough reason for doing the things that you have to do to be able to make that money. So set yourself an intention for every dollar that you are going to make. And I'm not talking about I want to make $1,000 to contribute to the household bills. I'm talking about I am setting myself a $1,400 goal because I've got 2 payments coming up to one of the great examples in the group was my daughter wants to go on a US trip and I really want to be able to send her to that, and there are 2 payments coming up of $700 each, and that's why I'm setting this goal. And it's specific, it's time bound, it's, you know, the money that this lady wants to make is directly related to the thing that is going to create a massive impact for her daughter. The same relates to if you're wanting to make money to reinvest into your business. We'll measure that out. Say, okay, well, I need this amount of money because I want to get a VA next month and it's going to cost me $400 to get this person in to help me revamp my social marketing strategy and get more visible online. And that will give me more time to do X. It's really, really powerful to get specific about your intention. And so that's the first point. And I cannot stress enough what a difference it makes. I had set myself a massive goal and it felt a bit arbitrary, to be honest. I didn't really feel connected to it. I didn't really believe that I could hit it. And so I sat down and went, okay, I'm going to do ground up and go, all right, these are the things that I want to be able to do in my business. I want to have 6 months worth of cash there for this particular expense that's coming up. And I numbered it out. And actually the number I needed to hit was half of the original number. But I'm committed to it. As soon as I saw it, it just felt right. You know, something that just feels right in your gut. That means that you've hit on the right goal for you for right now. Now, the only other thing I'm going to say there before I move on is don't let fear drive you. So you still want to have stretch goals and don't let fear stop you from setting them. Just make sure you've got solid intentions behind them. So once you've got an intention for the money that you want to make with this goal that you've set, you need to find a thing that you're going to sell. And that's what your focus product is about, number 2. So this is about saying, all right, I'm going to sell one product to hit that goal. Now, heaps of people have said to me, and my clients say to me, I don't know how I can just do one product, Nick. That sounds a bit ridiculous. Surely I should be going broad. But honestly, the power that comes from you focusing on one specific thing and one specific message to your audience, it just 10x's the results that you can generate. It means that you're not trying to blend your message across different audiences or different problems. It enables you to be really, really focused. So how you go about doing that is you start with your ideal client, and anybody who has been following along for a while will have heard Alison and Sophie talking about Emma, who is their ideal client avatar. So who is your ideal client? Who is that person that you are absolutely destined to serve? Be as specific as you possibly can, and now down to their core problem. What is the thing that you are helping them with? And again, with that, you need to be really specific. It's important because when you get to the messaging stage, you want to be able to speak directly to their message. Let me know if you've got questions as I go through, or I can answer them at the end. I'll let Sophie drive that. But the main point here is ideal client. What is the core problem that they have that you are solving for them? And then what is the product or service that you have that can fix that problem? And that's your focus product. That's what you're going to take through your marketing, and that's what you're going to use to hit this financial goal. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Nicole. Yep.
Excellent. All right. So the third step then is getting down and dirty with your numbers. This means that you want to price your product in a way that you love. And so something that's really important about the product that you want to focus on is that you really like delivering the product. And that's actually really important, because if you don't like, so if I have 2 coaching packages, for example, and one of them I absolutely love delivering, it's short and sharp, I'm able to get impact and change for someone in a really short space of time. It's well priced. I feel good about the price. And I've got one that is good, but it's long and I don't have a lot of time right now. And I'm a bit worried about how I'm going to be able to fit it in if I take on 15 one-on-one clients or whatever that number ends up being that I'll talk to you about in a minute. I'm not really going to be convincing when I'm trying to sell my big long package because I'm not quite sure how I'm going to deliver it. But the short, sharp one, I've got energy when I'm talking about it and I'm a lot more compelling, and it's easier for me to be able to talk to you about how that would be good for you and how I can help generate a result. So the same goes with the pricing. You need to love your product and you need to be comfortable about delivering it. And you also need to be really comfortable about the price. So just because something is a higher price doesn't mean that it's better. If you've got a $97 product that you absolutely love and you feel really good about that price and the value you're delivering for it, then go with that as your focus product. Conversely, if you have a $97 product and it's going to take you 10 hours to deliver that, either that item or that service to somebody, you're not getting paid very much for that and you're probably not going to feel very good about it. So you need to put that price up and you need to value your time. That's what I mean by getting your pricing right. There is lots of science around pricing. There are lots of more lengthy ways you can go about doing it, but at its most simplest form, make sure you feel comfortable about the value you're delivering and the money you're getting for that value. So to work out your numbers then for getting this simple process in place, you're going, okay, I'm going to make $1,000. I've got a $97 product. If I divide $1,000 by 97, that's 10.3. We'll round it up to 11 because I can't sell 0.3 of something. I need to sell 11 widgets to be able to hit my financial goal. That's the first thing I need to know, how many things I need to sell in the time frame that I've got available. And then the second point is you need to work out how many people you need to be in front of. And so conversion rates look different for different industries, for face-to-face businesses versus online businesses. And so this can be really complex. But as a general rule of thumb, if you don't know what your conversion rate is, typically on a product, and this is in an online space, a product up to about $500 converts at about 3 to 5%. So what that means is that for every 100 people that you put your product in front of, in a genuine way where you have warmed them up, and we'll talk about that in the next few steps, 3 to 5 of them will purchase. If it's a higher value product, so up to $1,000, it's more likely to be the 1 to 3%, and over $1,000 usually is about a 1% conversion rate. So for a $1,000 product, every 100 people you put it in front of, one person's going to buy. So to calculate that back, we know we need to sell 11 widgets, and basically you just do what is a calculation. And I'm going to confuse myself explaining this to you here, multiplying it by 3%. So what I do is I say, okay, well, what is 11 divided by 3? And then multiply that by 100, and that gives you 370. So based on standard numbers, I know that to sell 11 of my $97 product and hit my goal, I need to be in front of at least 370 people to get the conversion to sell the number that I want. Does that make sense? Please let me know if I need to explain that again. And I'll tell you, actually, I'm going to be doing a webinar which goes into all of this in a bit more detail. So I'll give you the link for that at the end, and you'll be able to get another go round, and you can listen to the replay as well to catch those details. Are there any questions just on that one?
I think we're good. The thing is with numbers is that in the beginning, yeah, as Tony's saying, I thought it would have been a lot more. We actually underestimate the number of people that we need to get under, and that's why it's important to have people in your funnel that you're constantly warming up. So the more people you can put into your funnel and you're warming up and you're sharing expertise with, the bigger outcome that you'll get. But that takes time to build up, doesn't it, Nicole?
Absolutely.
And Alison and I, we can't keep saying we're not numbers people because we're running a 6-figure, soon 7-figure business, right? So you have to know your numbers. You can't be honest with people, that's numbers. I'll just focus on what I'm good at. You're running a business, and that's where a business coach or getting even a bookkeeper to do a proper forecasting budget for you is really, really important if you are serious at all, because it could be that little slight tweak that can make all the difference. I mean, Mark Bilton, our mentor, he talks about most companies work on a 10% profit. 10%. Multi-million, billion-dollar businesses make 10% profit.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's incredible. So watch the recording if you missed any of that up, or hit up Nicole after the session.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is so much around knowing your numbers that I'm not even going to go into now. But yes, for the purposes both of how you're going to hit your revenue goal, but also the expenses that you're taking along the way. And that's why the intention that you set at this first step of this process was a profit purpose, because you need to know how much profit you're going to be making. All right, I'm going to move on. So the next step is crafting your message. Now, this one is really important, and it's where we often go wrong, because it doesn't matter how good your product is. It doesn't matter how many people you get in front of. It doesn't matter how great your branding is. If you don't have your message right, then people will not buy your product. So how the heck can you do this? The way I do it is say, I mean, yes, you have to be focused on your benefits. And if you've done any research at all on crafting a marketing message, you will know that it's about the benefit and the outcome that is generated for the client, for your ideal client. But a way of getting really into that is to think about the emotions that they get. So if you've just got a new KitchenAid, for example, or you're really excited about a new vacuum cleaner. I'm very in love with my new red lipstick. You know, those sorts of things. What are the emotions that you feel when you get the thing? It's not about how amazing it's going to be to mix your next cake. I mean, it might be a little bit, but it's also kind of how beautiful, and I have a red KitchenAid. I have a red thing, you may have noticed. And, you know, it was shiny and it's smooth and it was just beautiful. And I just wanted to hug it. And I felt so proud of myself for owning a fancy food processor, mixer. I don't even know what they're called, but a KitchenAid. Like I had this sense of pride. You know, somebody might actually be feeling a slightly shameful feeling, like, oh, I feel like I'm a bit, you know, important because I've got this thing, or I feel amazing because I've engaged, you know, a higher level coach than I thought I was going to be. And that it's really tapping into those emotions that people are feeling. You know, they've got new slippers. It's the warm and the cozy and the comforting, you know, like tap into those emotions and use those when you craft your message. Because if you then go back to, okay, well, what's the core problem that I'm solving for my ideal client? You know what they need, but that's not what they want. You need to sell them what they want and give them what they need. And that's where understanding the emotions associated with their purchasing decision and the emotions associated with them not having their problem solved are really important in that message of how you're selling your product. Let me know if that doesn't make sense. That is what will set you apart from the competition, who have got big, bright, flashy messages around their widget and why their widget is amazing. Because if you can get them to connect with a story that taps into the emotion of your ideal client, then that's the sorts of thing that will really convert. There's so much more to crafting a message. I could spend an hour just on that, but that's my tip for you for tonight. Tap into the emotions around that purchase decision and around their core problem. And then finally, the marketing mojo. So this is about how you actually get out there. To Sophie's point before, when we're new, we don't have a massive following. So how the heck are you going to get in front of people? The first part is knowing where your ideal client hangs out. So if you are marketing on social, for example, there's probably one or two platforms where they're most likely to be. If you have a physical business or you have an online business, but you have a marketing component, a networking face-to-face component, know where your ideal client hangs out. Real Entrepreneur Mums is a perfect example of that. Building connection with people and having a presence where they can realize that you're a real person who's not just after their money, you actually want to help them. Those are the sorts of foundations that you need in place around your marketing. the way I usually approach marketing is I say, okay, once you know where you need to be hanging out, whether it be online or in a more face-to-face kind of scenario, what's the one thing that you do regularly? So for me, I love going live. I love doing training. And now I have the Mums in Biz show, and every week I go live and I do training, and then I turn that into a blog, and that goes on my website, and that goes out to my list, and I'm able to repurpose it in lots of different ways. But I chose a thing that feels really natural, that I love doing. And I didn't start out with a fancy show. I just kind of started out with, okay, I'm going to do some lives on Facebook, and I think I'll start a group. Okay, this is going really well. I need to add value to them. I'll do some training. Oh, wait, I really enjoy doing this. They seem to like it. I'll do that every week. Oh, I'm going to give it a fancy name. Literally, that was my discovery process to get to having a Mums in Biz show. It doesn't have to be, it sounds clever now, but it wasn't really that clever. But what is the thing that you love that doesn't take a lot of effort and that you can do really naturally and show up regularly? That's what I mean by it. That's one of those consistency things that you need to do and chip away at, because that's like your tortoise marketing strategy. Yeah. And so if you can keep that going regularly, then every time you set one of these goals, you just plug your marketing message into the thing that you're doing, and it will be growing your audience. And then your hair marketing strategy, the fast one that you do when you're actually trying to hit this goal, is, okay, how can I get in front of as many people as possible on the platforms where I'm already visible, or in the networks where I'm already visible, and tell them about what I've got. And so you're sharing in groups, you're doing guest lives, you're presenting at network functions, you're doing letterbox drops if that's what works for your business. You're getting really specific. One of the ladies in my challenge is a florist, and she's realized that her ideal client is actually guys, because she loves helping guys bring romance back to their relationships. And so her target market's sitting in corporate office blocks, and she's going to go and figure out how to talk to them, finding out where your people are, and then getting your message in front of them where they are, is one of the key things about having your marketing nailed. In the context of this process, essentially you've gone, okay, I'm going to make this amount of money, and this is why. This is what I'm going to sell. This is how many I need to sell and how many people I need to get in front of. This is what I need to tell them, and this is how I'm going to get visible. And you do that in a repeatable way, and your conversion rates will get consistent. The biggest thing is, if you don't hit that goal the first time, and you might not, don't beat yourself up about it, because you are exactly where you need to be in your business right now, because we're all on our own journey in our business growth and learning, and we all have a learning process that we need to go through, and it's completely different. Mine is different to yours, and Sophie's, and my business coach went on a completely different journey to me. And that means that the things that are happening right now in my business are exactly what needs to be happening for me to be ready to go to the next step. And only you can do the things that you do in the way that you do them in every aspect of your life. But if you just show up consistently as uniquely you, and have deliberate action around building your tribe, and deliberate action around watching and learning and going, okay, well, I've just implemented that process and I didn't hit $1,000, but I did hit 600. And that meant that I converted, I don't know, let's say 6 people. So let's look at my conversion rate. What can I tweak? How can I change my message? Let me talk to some of the people who didn't buy and find out why they didn't buy and what would have made it more impactful. And you learn, and then you improve it, and you do it again. And so it's this rinse and repeat learning cycle. And instead of going, oh, I didn't hit my goal, that means I'm not very good at this, and never doing the process again, or never trying the launch again, or worse, completely abandoning that product and moving on to something new rather than taking advantage of the learnings that are there. So that is, I might get off my soapbox. I'm a little bit passionate about this particular aspect of things. Know your strength and just practice and learn and improve, and take from each thing that happens the confidence that, you know what, I did actually do those 3 things really, really well, and I figured out that I love that, and so I'm going to keep doing that. And that's how we move forward in our businesses. and ask for help when you need it. Have a coach, have a best friend, have a mentor. Join Real Entrepreneur Mums, and honestly, having a business partner that I work with every month is amazing because we just bounce ideas off each other. And so have those people in your network that you trust and that can help you. And you can go, do you know what? I tried this and it completely tanked. And they might say, yeah, I tried that tanked too. This is what worked for me, you know. Or they might say, no, do you know what? I tried it this way. Try that worked really, really well. Or I love it when you do this. And they might say that you're amazing at writing when you didn't realize you were, so do more blogging. You know, there are lots of different ways that you can get out there, and not doing it by yourself is really, really important. And practice saying no.
There's a story there.
Just I think not getting distracted by the bright, shiny things that are constantly there for us in the world of business is really important. Stay your path. Yep.
Your time is so precious, right? So you've got to choose who you spend your time with very wisely, but also what you spend your time on, which is really important as well.
Yeah, completely.
Are we done?
We are pretty much done. I've only got my last slide, so.
Oh, cool. Well, has anyone got any questions? Jump in. I've got a few I'm going to ask, but if you guys want to jot your questions into the chat box, or if you want to talk, I can take you off of talking as well. But one of the things that you spoke about, which I was going to ask you, is you mentioned that you have a coach. Mm-hmm. Now, you are a coach, right? You're a business coach, but then you have a business coach. Why is that?
That is a great question. I have actually had a business coach the entire time I've been in this iteration of my business. And honestly, having someone who is ahead of where you are and who can challenge you and who can, I find, like, she calls me on my BS, frankly. It's like sometimes I'll be having a bit of get a little bit of tough love coming back. You know, she plumps me up when I'm doing something really well and I'm second guessing myself, and she goes, you know what, that's actually amazing, just keep doing that. You know, not everybody does that. So, and it's just amazing to have somebody who can help me with my strategy, help me stay focused. I will ping her about something, say, hey, I heard about this strategy. It sounds really cool. And she's like, yeah, but you don't really want to take your focus off XYZ now because you're working towards this goal. So I just think you don't grow unless you've got someone who is challenging you, because otherwise you just sit there thinking that you're doing the right things and getting lost and disenchanted. And yeah, it's amazing. You need someone to challenge you.
Yeah, it sure is. And I think, you know, some people think that, oh, because you're a business coach, then you don't need your own coach. But we all get too close to our businesses, right? So as a coach, you've got techniques and strategies and tips, and, you know, you can help them look at how to simplify and automate and do all of those kind of things. But still, when it's your own business and you are in your business, you need someone that is looking from the outside in and can give you that different perspective. And then a mentor is someone who has been where you are. They might be 2 years in advance, 10 years in advance, maybe financially they're, you know, more advanced than you. So a mentor can kind of guide you as a coach that kind of, you know, can kick your butt and give you those strategies, more of the training side of it. Is that right?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely.
And so this month, Tony just mentioned, which is great. So this month in our Real Entrepreneur Mums membership, we do a challenge every month, and this month's challenge was actually to go and get a mentor. And Tony just messaged me and she said, so excited, I got my mentor, never would have asked him if it wasn't for this month's challenge. You all need people that are pushing you outside your comfort zones. Like, that's a great example. Like, we had the challenge, Tony, but you have to step up, right? And that's what you do. You step up, you take on the challenge, and because of that, she's absolutely going to grow. Yeah. Which is her business would. So I'm just going to read out a message from Melissa. Would marketing to referral partners fit in this, or is it better to start in the toddler stage, directly marketing to target clients?
Good question.
Mm.
So the first answer that I will say, which will frustrate the hell out of you, is it really depends. It depends on your business and where you are at and how big your following is, what sort of products you're selling, and what sort of referrals you're looking at. If you're in something like Real Entrepreneur Mums, where it's referrals between trusted, a trusted network, then that can be really, really powerful. If you're looking at really structured referral packages and things like that, it can depend on finding someone who's got an equivalent size, because they will often want there to be something in it for them as well. So I would say it depends on what you're going to do. You can partner and collaborate with people. I was talking to a client the other day, and she's in a professional services type of delivery, and she has developed a local network of an accountant and a financial advisor and a lawyer, and a relevant kind of professions that cater to a similar business. And she's got her own little referral network, and so she knows that she's got an accountant that she trusts that she can refer her potential clients to, and vice versa. So there's lots of different ways that you can structure it. So I wouldn't say that when you're in the toddler stage, don't do it. Absolutely not. It just depends on what it is you're looking to get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Tony asked, or she's just asked me, how long do we toddle for?
That is as variable as our children. So some businesses take off really quickly. It depends sometimes on us and how quickly we are moving through that mindset shift and really stepping up into that CEO role. Often we spend a long time working as an employee of our business, and what your business needs is for you to step up to CEO and to be a real owner and leader before you're there. And that is what will cause some of the real mindset shift and change the way you're thinking about things. And then you stop chasing month after month goals and you go, okay, do you know what? This is my annual goal. And this is how it breaks down into my 90-day plans. And then this is what I need to do this month to ensure that I'm on track for that. And it just kind of shifts your headspace around how you're showing up. So you get to decide how long you stay in the toddler stage, and it's a lot more about mindset than it is about techniques and tactics, I think.
Tony says she can't wait for the annual goal. Melissa said thank you. Thanks very much. One of the things that you mentioned, this is my question, around the marketing mojo, and you spoke about the tortoise and the hare, and something that Alison and I do in our business is it's easy to kind of get disappointed when you set yourself a goal and you think, oh, I'm going to hit it, because you think you've done everything, and then you don't hit that goal.
Yeah.
The mindset that we use is that especially the first few years, it's all about test and learning. Yeah. So it's about, like, exactly what you said, right? You got started, you tried a few things, and that worked, and then you go, oh, I'm going to start a group, and then you tried a few more things, that worked really well. Then each time you just kept stepping it up, and taking on the feedback and looking what was working, what wasn't, and switching it up. And I see what happens to people is they get really disappointed, and it knocks them out of the game. It knocks them out when they're in such a critical phase of they're really starting to lay some really core foundations, and they're starting to systemize and get the right processes in place. But because they haven't reached their goals yet, they kind of get deflated. But sometimes it takes years for businesses to turn a profit, because they're laying those foundations. But once they do, and once they nail these 5 things that you spoke through, that's when they really do amplify and they go into that scale mode. But I see so many people get knocked out because they get disappointed, because in the first year they might not have hit their financial goals, or so I think that mindset that you spoke about, having that test and learn, and you don't need to necessarily know the end point when you're at that toddler phase. You can't see, like you couldn't see, right, that you would be running this great program now, right, when you got started. But you go, okay, this is what I'm great at and I'm really passionate at, and then each time you move the goalpost. Okay, well, let's move that up one level. So it's also personal. It really is, Tony just commented there as well. It is, like you said, it depends on a lot of things. So any more questions for Nicole? Hit us up in there. What did you love most? I definitely love, business isn't easy. It's not, but it doesn't have to be hard. So Alison wants to know, oh, hi, Alison. How long should you spend in front of your potential clients before you start to offer your services? E.g., how long should you spend doing Facebook Lives for them to get to know them? Good question.
Good question. So I think that if you build a foundation of adding value, then people will form that trust. So it's all about that know, like, and trust factor. And I think that one of the mistakes that that we can make, and it's really easy to do, is we get so comfortable just delivering free value that we attract the kinds of people who only want to consume free stuff. And that's not the kind of audience that you want to be attracting. You want to be attracting your ideal client. And part of the thing that's important about getting really specific about your ideal client is knowing who they are. I was listening to a podcast by James Wedmore today, and he was saying, you know, the type of content that you put out there attracts a certain type of person. So he has, in addition to his coaching business, he has a YouTube video business, and that was his first business. And he said he's got a video up there that says how to make money on YouTube, and he said he's had over 1 million views on that, but he never makes any sales off that particular video, because the people that that video attracts are people who want to, you know, find that golden ticket, you know, no effort, turn a profit overnight, and they're not going to spend money on a solution that's actually going to create a valuable business proposition for them. And so that's something to think about in the free content that you are delivering, that it is engaging people and that it's constantly reminding them about, in a gentle way, their core problem and, you know, what they can be doing about it, and helping them take more steps, but showing them that there's a gap between the things that they can do for themselves and the service that you can provide, or the product that you can provide that's going to really solve that problem for them. And so I would say it doesn't actually need to be a long time. It depends on the engagement that you're building and the followership and that know, like, and trust factor that's growing between you and your followers. And it's mostly about the type of content that you're sharing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good advice. Thanks, Alison, for the question. That's Alison from Adelaide, right? The VA? Yes, I think it is. So, Nicole, seriously, amazing content. I'm getting messages on my phone. You can't see the chat box, but everyone's really loving it tonight. Oh, where can we find out more information about how to stay connected? What about this program you've got coming up? What can you share with us?
So, I am amazing at technology. You do not have to be great at technology to run a successful business. The first myth. So I am running a free webinar going into a lot more detail around this process and what I teach next Thursday, actually. So the link that you've got on the screen there is to sign up for the webinar. So I would love it if you guys came along and had a listen. I am delivering a challenge at the moment called 5 Days to Your First 1K. And we are actually implementing this process together in that group. So if you jump onto my page, so Nicole Tewierik Coaching on Facebook, you'll be able to join my group there, and you'll find the link to join the challenge as well. So there's lots of ways that you can connect with me. I love talking to people, so I really funnel most people into my groups so that I can get to know them a bit.
Fantastic. And I've just put the link in the chat box as well for those people that are on live. They can jump on and check it out as well. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. I know a lot of you can't see the comments because they're just coming through to us. Natalie says, thank you, so valuable. Tony, another amazing masterclass. You certainly hit it out of the park tonight. We thank you so much for your time, and thank you for those that are on live. This shows us that you are serious about your business, and you want to hang around the right people and get the right information, and you're definitely in the right spot. So we'll see you all in a couple of weeks for the next Real Insight Masterclass. You guys are so welcome, so welcome. Alison, Gina, great value. Thanks a million. Thank you very much. Very generous. Much appreciated. Thanks everyone for your comments. And Nicole, we'll be seeing you very soon in Melbourne. Bye everyone.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.